to get a quick picture of this is look at the results school by school and how many kids have been entered school by school to see whether there's an association between the results they got before and reductions in kids entering. The kids that were doing worse, the schools that were doing worse, entering before the exam. And that will tell you something without doing any survey. And those
yeah. Sorry.
Yes, thank you. Angela, is that a hand up from before?
I've got my hand up. I was just going to say that one important question to ask in the survey, in my opinion, would be whether there are specialist teachers available to teach GCSE and possibly A-level as well, because we are seeing a difficulty in recruiting specialist RV teachers nationally, and it'd be good to see what the picture is in Wokingham.
Thank you. Welcome to the people who've just joined us. We've started the meeting without you, I'm afraid, and we've got on to the development plan and budget up things next. We've looked at how schools are going into Wokingham, how things are going in Wokingham schools, but I just wondered, as you've just joined us, is there anything you wanted to add? Nick, was there anything that you wanted to say? I realise you've not heard most of the conversation.
No, thanks very much for inviting me to speak. What I caught of that conversation about teaching RE in schools and the drop-off in GCSEs and A-levels, I think I really agree with what people were saying about getting some more data, more information behind that. It's interesting. I've got my youngest is 16 years, so 16 years old, and he's just doing his GCSEs now, so I get a student's take on religious education, myself as a parent. So I'd be really interested to know what schools are saying and how we can support them, not only in empowering them to teach, but also maybe making religious education a bit more exciting for students, possibly.
Thank you. Linda, you've just joined us and come in halfway through a conversation. Is there anything that you wanted to add? Oh, Julie's joined us as well. Can I ask Linda first, Julie, then I'll come to you?
No, I think I've literally come in on the last few comments, so no. Pretty bad.
You're welcome. Julie?
My only thought was, if your children are being entered GCSE, what courses it would be interesting to find out what courses secondary schools are providing for those children. So I know when I did my Farmington, there was somebody who was developing that short course for RE. They had all previously done RE, and the timetable was squeezed such that RE was only given an hour a week, which meant it wasn't long enough to get through this GCSE syllabus. And then he was writing a short course for RE that he was then looking at getting accredited, not as a GCSE. But it would be interesting to know what courses of the children who aren't doing GCSE are following and whether they're accredited in any way at all. That's my only thoughts.
Thank you for that. I'm sure Emily and Angela have noted that down, and we'll take all that into account. We'll see the questions that they've prepared before they go out if we want to make any comments. Can we put a time scale on that, Emily? What's your workload like now?
It's pretty heavy just now, but in a couple of weeks' time it will ease up. I don't know how Angela's fixed, but maybe we could say, I'm just thinking of when would be a good time to issue a survey in terms of a good time for schools as well, to make it likely that we'll get responses. Maybe the start of the summer term might be a good time, just after Easter. Do you think, Angela?
Yeah, I think that's sensible. And the other option I would think would be a good time is perhaps after the exam series, but that might be a little bit late for us.
Yeah. Well, if we could aim to get the draft questions to you by the end of this term. So let me look at my diary. Say by the 24th of March, if that would work for Angela.
Fine.
Okay, that's fine by me. I don't want to put too hard a load on you to get it out, but it would be interesting to have it in time if we could, or some of it at least for the next meeting,
Yeah,
which
sure.
is June, isn't it?
Yeah.
Julie, is that an old hand, or did you want to come in again? Julie?
It's an old hand, sorry.
Okay, that's all right.
Gone.
Okay, that's lovely, thank you. Anything else on this subject, or can we move on? Okay, we'll move on to the development plan and budget updates. Emily, it's you and Angela again, I'm afraid. It's on page, just lost the page of the agenda, page 6.
Thanks, Beth. Angela, do you want to say something about the development plan, and then I'll do the budget, perhaps?
Yeah, of course. There's not really much to update in terms of the development plan. One thing that we've done is we've moved the spring meeting forward to today. We normally have a mid-March meeting, so that we can discuss any underspent budget, but I don't think that's applicable this year, ironically. We have a draft development plan for the coming financial year, which is very much based on the development plan for 2022 to 2023. They run according to the financial year, so the new year is about to start in April. I think within the development plan that we've already got, we're doing some really good things actually, and we have increased support for secondary schools related to the item we were just discussing, and trying to get more secondary schools involved and engaged with the networks again. The other part of the development plan, which I might highlight, is the opportunity, or the should we say requirement for Sacre members to try and attend some of the networks that we run, or some of the Massacre training, the National Association of Sacre training that's available to them. The Sacre members are always welcome, and we do put that into our development plan as part of our core business. Also, if Sacre members would like to offer their services for collective worship, or to speak to schools, to pupils in their RE lessons, then that's always welcome and part of our development plan as well. So I've said a fair bit already about the support that we provide to secondary teachers. We are running networks now online, and there is going to be a cross-phase face-to-face network once a year as well. The Pan Berkshire hub as well, we are consolidating our plans for the new syllabus, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later on when that item comes up. So really, the main thing that we would like to do is really to get Sacre members to think about where they want the new development plan to go. Are you happy with the points that we have for our development plan already, or is there anything else that you would like to see on it? So I'm jumping the gun a little bit here because we've got that discussion of item 11, but I don't know if Beth would be happy to open that up to discussion as part of this item as well, because it's all connected. That's really up to Beth as our chair.
I'd be very happy to do it, because it gives us 2 bites of the cherry. So if someone's got some ideas, it might spark others to think. So yes, let's have a go.
I don't know, sorry, Beth, I don't know if it'd be helpful for newer members of the Sacre just to sort of say that we tend to have we've got quite a well-established programme of support that we offer our schools. As Angela says, we have increased support for secondary schools in recent years, but what we tend to offer is a programme of regular network meetings, some of which are for primary schools, some are for secondary, and we now have one meeting every year that's for both primary and secondary. We also offer training for subject leaders in primary schools who are new to leading on RE. Angela offers training on that. And we also offer a training session for secondary schools. So it's really just, as Angela says, you know, we make the assumption that probably you want us to carry on doing all of that, but it's just to give anyone the opportunity to make any other suggestions. We probably won't have extra money to spare next year because of it being a syllabus review year. Any money that we do have spare will probably need to be spent on the syllabus review. So if we start doing something new that's going to cost money, we probably have to stop doing something we currently do. But please do let us know of any ideas, or, you know, if you've got topics that you think we should particularly cover in the meetings or the training with schools, then that would be interesting to hear. So, yeah.
If any Sacre member is available to go into schools on behalf of the Sacre to look at what they're doing, you're normally very welcome as long as you don't just turn up. I know some of you know more than the teaching than others, but you're very welcome, and it helps us a lot to know what's going on in the ground. As for the network meetings, I think if you could attend a network meeting, whether it be in person or virtually, and I think we're back to in person now, it's very interesting to be able to meet the people that are teaching the things that we come up with, the things that we work on, and you see the whole story there. We can always advise them that you're coming, advise teachers that you're coming, and you just join in as and when you can. Very interesting. Nick, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, can I ask a question? Do we have any information on how well received these programs of training and support we're giving to schools is, and how well they're received by the teachers?
Emily, you're muted.
Sorry. Yeah, Angela has a regular item, Nick, where she feeds back from networks and training, so that is coming up on the agenda. But just to sum up, we get really positive feedback. And I think members who've been to any of the meetings would sort of reiterate that teachers are really engaged and positive. Sometimes attendance can be an issue, not really for primary schools, but getting secondary teachers to come to things tends to be more challenging. But that has improved with things being online. So we're sort of doing a mixture of online and in person at the moment. But yeah, getting secondary teachers to attend things continues to be a bit of a challenge. But when they do come, they're really positive about what's on offer. Angela, I don't know if you want to add.
I don't think so. We do collect feedback rather informally, but we do make a record of what people say after the training events. And we respond to feedback as well. So, for example, we were delivering the subject leaders, primary subject leaders courses in March and April, and some teachers felt that was a little bit late in the year for them, so we moved that to September. So we tend to decide democratically what the next topic is going to be wherever possible. So the people who attend the meeting decide the training focus for the next network. So that keeps it really relevant and close to the classroom as possible. So yeah, we've yet to get any negative feedback. I shouldn't say that, should I? Really? But yeah, the feedback has all been really positive. Teachers appreciate what we do, and we try to listen to what they want as much as we can.
Nick, if you could go along, you'd see that and be able to interact with the teachers as well.
I think I'll certainly try and do that. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah. Julie?
I just wanted to add to that actually, having been an RE lead and been along to the coordinators or leaders meetings, what's really useful about them is they keep you totally up to date. You've got a whole mix of RE leads there. When you go and you're new, you can always ask something you don't understand or you don't know, and you get really up to the minute advice. And you can there's a mixture of you share experience with more experienced teachers as well. It's because it is what people want. People ask for stuff. It always touches what it is, something that you're weaker up or something that you want to develop. Your skills that, for example, when I was there, Islam was being brought into the infants in the RE thing, and people were like, you're not sure what I'm doing with Islam in the infants. And so the next one, we brought resources along, we looked at planning, people shared their experience. So you, as an RE lead, you go back into school a lot more confident that you are asking your staff to do what's the right thing to do. And equally, if you've got difficult questions, that's the place you can take them and you know you're going to get a good answer. So that's why it's a really useful forum, particularly with RE being so core. And I've always been in church schools, and the church schools it's inspected, and that your RE lead has to know their stuff, basically. And you're not all in primary, you're not always a specialist. If you're an RE lead, you could just be somebody who goes to church, or somebody who's interested, or somebody who likes philosophy. So I handed over to someone who doesn't go to church, but is very philosophical and likes to discuss and can think deeply. So she was an ideal person to take on RE, but that knowledge was gained through those networks. So just to add to that, that's why it's useful, particularly in primary.
I'm just looking, there's no more hands up. Is there anything else anyone wants to say on the development plan? But please try and come along to network meetings if you're able, not only to encourage the teaching staff, but to show that as a Sacre we're human and interested. Well, some of us are human, not all the time. Okay, are you happy to move on?
Yes, do you want me to say something briefly about the budget update, Ben?
Yes, please. I had a quick look this afternoon.
So I think it's on page 17 of the agenda pack, and it goes across 3 pages. But just simply, it's quite straightforward that wherever you see blue text, that's spending that's happened since I reported at the last meeting. And you'll see that there's a box on page 19, I think it is, that looks at the funds that we've got remaining and what we still need to spend money on. And that shows that it's unlikely that we'll have any funds outstanding at the end of the financial year. So really it shows that actually our budget has worked out perfectly this year, and we'll probably spend pretty much exactly what's in our budget. I know there was an action from the last meeting for Beth and I to meet to talk about the budget for future years. So we have now got a date for that meeting on the 28th of March. But if anyone has thoughts about the budget now or in the meantime, please do let me know.
Yes, if you just email, then we can talk about it when we get together. Okay, any comments on the budget, what we've spent it on? And actually having these meetings virtually means that we get better value for money because we've got more to spend on the schools rather than ourselves having meetings. And so we've only got one face-to-face meeting planned this year. And it's a lot easier for Angela to meet without leaving home, which is quite a long way away. Okay, can we move on? Next item on the agenda, let me go back. I'm really slow, I can't find it.
I think it's an annual report update.
I think you're absolutely right, yes. I'm just trying to find the page. Yep, item 7. Emily, you two working on the annual report.
Yes, so hopefully members all received via email in December our annual report for the previous academic year. We had a deadline in December to send it to the Department for Education and Sacre, which we've done. What we need to do now is we have to follow a set format now, which is rather dry for external audiences. So what we always do is send it to our design team, send them some photos that are relevant to what's in the report and get it looking more appealing and engaging. And we then share it with head teachers and governors. But what I did want to highlight to members is that included in the report is some feedback from school Ofsted inspections that took place during the last academic year. I think it's starts on page 26 of the agenda pack. And it says, during the academic year 2021 to 22, there were 16 schools in the borough that were inspected, 14 primary schools, 1 secondary school and 1 nursery school. 7 of those inspection reports mentioned religious education. And where RE was mentioned, comments were overwhelmingly positive. There were 2 comments highlighting the need for better planned provision for RE, as well as for some other subjects in the curriculum. And we've included there some examples of the positive quotes from reports about RE provision. There were also 2 inspection reports that mentioned collective worship, and they were both positive comments. And we've also quoted there in the report those 2 positive comments about collective worship. And there were no reports that mentioned any non-compliance in terms of RE or collective worship. So it's a really positive picture. Obviously, there's a lot of reports that didn't mention RE or collective worship at all, but where they did, there's a lot of positives. So what I plan to do when I share the report with schools, I will make sure I highlight the fact that there are lots of positive comments from inspection reports. And I also do plan to make contact with the 2 schools where there were comments saying there could be improvements with RE, just to make sure they know about all the support that we offer to schools. And what Angela and I thought is we don't have a regular item at our meetings where we update you on Ofsted inspections. So what we thought we could do is maybe every autumn term meeting, which is when we're putting together the annual report anyway, maybe we could report back to you on all the inspections that took place in the previous academic year, if that would be helpful.
I'm sure that would be very helpful, and it was something we used to do some years ago. Can't remember where it got lost, but it did. But I think, yes, if we look at them annually at annual report time, it makes us aware of the networking that's going on, and it makes us look at what's needed.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks, Beth.
Anyone else want to make a comment, Claire?
I was just wondering, where it says about the need for better planned provision for RE alongside other subjects. I wasn't entirely sure what that means. Is that basically kind of RE concepts being used in like art or, I don't know, related to geography or something like that? And
sorry, go on.
Oh no, and I guess, was it something that's come up in the RE network meetings as something that people need support about? Was there a wider kind of need?
Well, I can answer that a bit, and probably Angela can add to what I say. Ofsted has a very big focus on curriculum at the moment, and the substance of what children are actually taught. And often when they talk about needing better planning, what they often mean is that each individual teacher might be teaching interesting and engaging subject matter, but the curriculum maybe lacks coherence. So perhaps the school hasn't looked at what's children's learning journey from foundation stage through year 1, 2, etc., and making sure that learning is building sequentially in a logical manner on what children have learned previously and developing their knowledge further. So perhaps it's a little bit ad hoc and not very coherent across the whole school is often what they mean. The comments are mostly very short and don't go into a lot of detail about, they will have obviously fed back verbally to the school in more detail, but often in the report you don't get a lot of detail. But Angela, I don't know if you want to, because Angela has an overview nationally of all the comments that Ofsted are making, so yeah.
Yeah, I think what Emily said is spot on there. So huge focus on curriculum, so looking at what's on offer to who and where within the curriculum, and RE being an important part of that. There's a huge emphasis on sequencing, so building knowledge, enabling pupils in all subjects to know more, do more, remember more, and also in RE in particular, what we're seeing nationally when RE is mentioned, the most common phrase that we're seeing in inspection reports from Ofsted is that either RE prepares pupils for life in a multi-religious and multi-secular world, or it doesn't. So that is, a major aim for RE, according to Ofsted as well. So as Emily says, it's hard to say specifically what they meant in terms of that school, but those are the assumptions that I think we can safely make.
Thank you.
Anything else? No, I can't see any hands up. Thank you both of you for that. Can we move on to item 8, feedback from teacher networks and training opportunities, and very appropriate to us following what we've been discussing already. I'm very pleased to read in the first paragraph that it was face-to-face, which is nice, and a mix of year groups there. Who's going to do this, Emily? Angela?
I can do this one. There's not really much to say. We've talked a little bit about network opportunities and the training opportunities that Sacre provides for teachers. There was a secondary network meeting on the 22nd of November. That's the only event that's taken place since our autumn meeting. In that meeting, we discussed and had a training focus around the syllabus review. There were national and local updates, as well as exploring ways into trickier topics in Christianity, which is what teachers asked us to look at. We did have another training event for secondaries scheduled on the 14th of December, but only 2 teachers managed to make it to that one from one school. So Emily and I made an executive decision which is probably unwise in hindsight, because we didn't know there would be strikes coming up, to reschedule with the teachers' blessing for that. And unfortunately, we'd have to postpone it again, because it was we moved it to a day where there was industrial action. So now we've moved that to the 30th of March. Coming up, there is the face-to-face cross-bays network meeting. That's on the 7th of March, and that's going to be at St Crispin's, and hopefully it will be well attended by primary and secondary teachers alike. Emily's going to send out a reminder for the teachers, and hopefully get good numbers for that. So that's all we've got to say on the training opportunities at the moment, unless anybody's got any questions.
No, can't see any hands up. Okay, let's move on to the Sacre Hub update. I missed the last meeting, Angela, so could you give us some information about what happened?
Right, okay. The meeting focused largely on the syllabus development and how we have reached out across Berkshire to to members of the faith and belief groups on Sacre, but across the unitary authorities, there were very few responses, and most of them tended to be from Christianity. So following on from that, we have asked via email. I think Luciane sent out an email fairly recently to members of groups A and B, a request to express their preferences about attending face-to-face but Zoom meetings to discuss what they would like to see as part of the syllabus that really kind of represents their faith within our lessons for children and young people. At the moment, I don't think we've had any responses yet, have we, Emily?
Luciane, I realise I haven't checked in with you about that. Did you get any responses from people regarding those meetings? Do you know?
No, not directly to me.
Yeah, so maybe we could just take this opportunity to... Shira. Okay.
Immediately.
Thank you.
I've replied as well. I've got a meeting in my diary, 7th of March, to discuss stuff on a Zoom meeting, Christianity. So
good.
There's something going on.
Yeah, I don't know if maybe people might have replied directly to Anne Andrews, perhaps, some people, I don't know.
Yes.
But if there are people who haven't yet replied, either to Anne or myself or Luciane, and you are in Group A or Group B, it would be fantastic if you would like to be involved in any of those meetings about the syllabus review. I don't think it's too late to let us know.
So, sorry, I just remembered. It is true that people were asked to reply directly to her, not to me. So that's why I wouldn't have heard anything.
Right. I hadn't realised that. Thanks, Luciane. Well, thank you very much to those of you that have replied. And if any of you are interested but have mislaid the email or it didn't get to you, then let us know and we can resend the information to you.
Nigel, you had your hand up very briefly. Was that a mistake?
No, but the point was made for me by others.
Okay, thank you. Claire?
Hi. So in the last meeting, I was asking about being able to be a member, but we weren't quorate at the time. So would this, assuming we at some point, the group at some point is quorate and I could be a member, is this a meeting I could be involved in, or is there another way for me to be involved?
So there was a suggestion, as I understand it from Angela, Claire, there was a suggestion from the Hub that humanists do be involved in those meetings. And I was just checking that out with Stephen and Beth. And Beth, I think, responded that she would be supportive of that. Stephen is, of course, unwell, so hasn't replied. But assuming that Stephen is happy for that, then I think we would people would welcome your involvement in that. So, yeah.
Great.
And I think we are quorate at the moment.
Yes, we are.
Lucian can check it. So we can go back to that when we finish the agenda. Claire, if you're happy.
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Anything else on this item?
I was just going to update on the Real People, Real Faith project, which is continuing to go from strength to strength. So that is a project whereby there are short videos made that in which representatives from faith and belief communities are asked some of the key questions that are part of the syllabus. And they give their responses. It's a bit like having a visiting speaker in the classroom, and also there are resources to support those videos as well. So all of those resources are available on the NatRe website. I've had a look at the analytics with our marketing team, and they've had over 4,000 unique viewings, and that's from across the UK. So whilst it's a local project, it's being well received nationally, and it seems that teachers are finding those resources really useful in their classes in RE. There are 18 more short films to come with accompanying notes, that are also going to be posted on the NatRe website, so they're going to have equally as broad an audience. And the beliefs that are going to go to centre for those videos and resources. There are going to be 6 humanist videos and resources, 6 Buddhist ones, and 6 Baha'i ones as well. So the idea is really to increase the scope of diversity. And, you know, for our pupils in Wokingham, it's really great because they get to hear, you know, reasonably local voices talking about faith in their own classrooms. So that's a really positive thing. And I think, you know, that project has expanded from, you know, very small pot of funding, and Anne Andrews and the rest of the hub have really taken it forward, and it's been really successful.
Thank you. Any comments? Can we move on to item 10, which is the national updates relating to education and RE? Angela, I presume this is you?
It is me. There will be a paper to peruse at everybody's leisure that's going to be emailed out shortly. I'll just go through some of the main headlines. In terms of Sacre, National Association of Sacres, the training programme is continuing. The events that we'd really like to point everybody towards is the 26th of June 2023, which is an evening online opportunity that's going to be hosted by the executive members of Sacre, and it's for new Sacre members. So anybody who's joined fairly recently, that could be a really useful one for you to go to. And I provided a link in the document that you're going to have to the other training opportunities as well. If you'd like to go on any of those training events, then if you just email Lucianne or Emily, and they will arrange that for you. The other big news from Sacre is that they are actually planning to hold their conference face-to-face in London this year, so not too far if you're in Wokingham. We can send guaranteed a maximum of 2 people from Sacre, and others can go on a waiting list. So if you want to contact Emily about that, the date is the 22nd of May. And the time 10:30 to 3:30 at Fishmongers Hall in London. So please get in touch if you'd like to go to that. Part of the conference and AGM at Sacre this year is celebrating their 30-year anniversary, and a really nice thing that they've asked Sacres to consider is perhaps nominating somebody who's stood out in Sacre, a very long-serving member, perhaps you can nominate more than one person, and anybody who's had a significant impact on the positive development of the Sacre. And if we have any photos or pieces of memorabilia from over the last 30 years of Wokingham Sacre, then if we can collate those. I don't know if you want those coming into your inbox, Emily, do you? And then Sacre are hoping to put together a big kind of compilation of all the wonderful work the Sacres are doing across England. Just a couple of other updates. £600 grants for Christianity for schools. So there's a small grants school scheme run by the Jerusalem Trust. They give out £600 for schools that are after extra resources to teach Christianity, in particular Christian charity. If you have a look at the link that we send up there, that could be something that's really useful for your school. Spirited Arts is continuing this year, so the national, well, it's international actually, art and creativity competition that's run for many years now at Natre. Free to enter. Last year we had entries from over 30,000 students across the globe, and we had some really good ones from Wokingham as well, and we showcased a couple of those to you in the last meeting, I think. So 6 themes there to get students really inspired and engaged. So please send in your entries, and you've got until the end of July to do that if you're a teacher. Natre are also running free webinars for primary and secondary early careers teachers. So I've included some information around that as well. We've also got the regional hubs, that's still ongoing. I gave information about that last time. And I'm going to go through it all because you can have a look at your leisure, as I say. Yeah, there's been a survey of primary teachers. We're seeing that there's very little time for RE in lots of primary settings, and also that there's not a great deal of specialism for RE as well. So those are kind of messages that could potentially be things for us to be thinking about in our Sacre too. I know Emily's going to give an update on the census data, so I'm not going to talk about that for the moment, but I'm happy to talk about it with you in the next item if you want to, Emily. There's Theos think tank project, Science and Religion, so reframing the conversation. So there's a wonderful video that kind of frames some of the issues, and it's a research project that has looked at how there are synergies and interrelationships between science and religion, and they're not necessarily on different pages all of the time. So that's something that you might want to engage with as well. So those are the main points. As I said, I'm going to send around some links for you all to have a look at, and if you have any questions off the back of those links or the information that we provide by email, then please do get in touch with us, and we'll try and answer questions for you. I don't know if there are any questions now for us.
Lucian, you had your hand up. Was it something else you wanted to come in about?
No, it's fine. The question mark I had in my head was answered.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Angela?
Beth, I don't know if it'd be helpful, but as Angela mentioned, one of the things she's put in her document when it's sent out is some information about the national census in terms of religion and belief information. And I've got a slide with the Wokingham, the information about the census data in Wokingham, if people would be interested in seeing that.
I think that's a good idea. Thank you, Emily. Would you like to put it up?
I should just be opening up now. Just go on to the next slide. So, although this is from 2021, the information was actually only published a few months ago. And so you can see here the Wokingham information compared to national. So you can see in terms of the percentage of people with no religion, Wokingham is pretty much in line with national. We're slightly below national in terms of the percentage of Christian believers. Quite significantly above national in terms of Hindus and also in terms of Sikhs, and slightly below national in terms of people who identify as Jewish and Muslim. But of course, I think one of the main things that has been highlighted nationally and is also the case in Wokingham is that around 37% of the population now say that they have no religion. And I was just talking with Angela before the meeting about this, and that's not as straightforward as it sounds, because people interpret that in different ways. And what they might mean when they say they have no religion is that they don't feel they don't affiliate with any particular religious group, but it doesn't mean they don't believe in a God, for example. There is some interesting narrative that has been published to go with the national data. Obviously, they talk about the decrease in the number of people who describe themselves as Christian, and that's been declining over the last 20 years of doing the census. And that is coinciding with an increase in the number of people who report that they have no religion. In terms of people who wrote in a response when they were asked about any other religion that they follow, the top response was paganism, but it also included shamanism, for example. And of the people who wrote in a non-religious group to that question about any other religion, the largest groups were agnostic, atheist, and humanist. So I guess some questions this might raise for the Sacre are, are there implications that we should think about when we come to review our syllabus? Perhaps are there implications for thinking about the membership of our Sacre and how we reflect our local area in our membership and in our syllabus? So yeah, perhaps some food for thought and that data.
I can't see any hands up, but one of the questions I'd like to see is to go back 50 or 60 years and see how this has changed. Mm-hmm. And I suspect there's some big changes if we go back that long that we'll see and look at the trends in those figures.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
Are they available? Without a lot of hard work?
I assume they are. I'll have a check there, see if I can find them.
Okay. Julie, was it you or the cat that wanted to speak?
It's me, sorry about the cat.
No, we're used to cats.
I have, there's a really interesting book that somebody writes about statistics of religion. I think I've got a copy upstairs that I'll flash in front of you, so anyone who's interested in a good read. The one I've got is based on the 10 years before census, and that does look back, it does show trends. Oh.
Thank you.
I'll go and get it.
Okay, while you're going to get it, we'll ask Claire to speak.
Okay.
I just wanted to highlight, so obviously this is for the whole population, either with England, Wales or within Wokingham. So the percentage of people with no religion, it's a lot higher among younger people as well, which obviously this data doesn't show.
Thanks, Claire.
Anyone else want to speak while Julie's gone to get the book? I can see one of the 13, but Shahid.
Yeah, useful information. I just think, do we have what demographics in terms of the breakdown of, I suppose, age as well, and gender and other sort of demographic breakdowns? Or is that
I think that information is probably available for the national picture, but I'm not sure if it's available for Wokingham. I didn't see it in the website where I got this data. Again, I will go back and check. Shahid.
Yeah, it's useful, as Sven said, it would be useful to see the trends, if not 50 years, maybe in the last maybe 2 decades.
Yeah.
How situation has changed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and obviously that, I mean, Beth, from as a councillor point of view, that has implication in terms of obviously, in terms of the services we provide from the council point of view as well. So that's why this data is quite helpful to understand our constituents and our demographics within Buckingham. So yeah, useful information.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
Angela, Julie's just sitting herself down. Did you want to comment while she settles?
I was just going, or I'm not muted, am I? No. I was just going to say that if you go on the Office of National Statistics website, there is a census map, and in the handout that you're going to be sent, there is a link to that, and you can look at all sorts of demographics with that tool, and you can practically zoom in almost to a street and see what religions and beliefs are in a particular suburb, for example, and it's a really useful tool if you want to have a look at that. Very user friendly, and it's not just for religion and belief. You can look at all of the census data.
Well, thank you, Angela. Julie?
Yeah, this is it. It's called Religion in Britain, a Persistent Paradox. And it's by Grace Davey, and it looks at trends since 1945. And it's just very interesting. And this is the second edition, but I'm imagining now we've got another census, there'll be a third edition coming out. It looks at those patterns, and you could see Christianity shrinking as a proportion of the population over the last numbers of censuses and things like that. So anyone who likes an academic read, this is quite interesting.
Okay, thank you. And if anyone missed the title, if they email us, we'll get the more detail from Julie.
I'll type it in the chat.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions on that? Can we move on? Thank you. Item 11 I've got on the paperwork is Sacre updates. Angela, you've done a bit of that. Is there any more?
No, we are done with that now, I think. I believe we're moving on to dates of the next meeting.
I've got world views on here.
I don't know if you're looking at the last meeting agenda, Beth, because I know we looked at world views at the last meeting, but I don't think we've got it as an item this time.
Perhaps I am. Let me go on to here. It was part of the minute. Sorry. I'm just keeping you on your toes to see if it's...
Yeah, I think it's possible that you were looking at the other one. They were similar. Just to remind that after we confirm the date of next meetings, we just have to ratify the election of chairman and vice chairman, and also the appointment of Claire to the meeting, just so that you don't close the meeting before we do that.
Okay, thank you. Yep. Date of next meeting, we've got the 12th of June, an in-person meeting in David Hicks' room in the Wokingham. That's firmed up. And we've got the 6th of November and the 19th of February 2024. Crikey, a year ahead. Are those dates okay with everyone? And I expect it's a bit early to look at February 24. It certainly is for me.
Beth, just to say, I was making the assumption that people were happy with the pattern of having our summer meeting in person and the other two on Teams, but maybe we should just check that everyone is happy with that arrangement to carry on.
Nick, you wanted to say something?
As a new member, I really value having a chance to meet with people. I wasn't able to come along to the summer meeting last year, so that would be good for me.
Can I just add to that you also have an option to have a hybrid format because David Hicks, which is where we are at, is Teams enabled. So you could have a hybrid formatting where, you know, if people are really struggling to attend in person, they could attend on Teams.
Yes, thank you. Julie?
Historic, it's gone.
Okay. Any further questions? Those dates okay? Okay, thank you. We'll move on to ratifying the decisions we've made tonight. Election of chairman.
Sorry. Are those dates confirmed then?
Yes.
They are confirmed. Okay. Thank you.
Earlier on at the start of the meeting, we weren't quorate, but we are quorate now. And while we are, it's a good chance for us to ratify the decisions that we made at the beginning of the meeting. And that was the election of chairman and vice chairman. And for those of you that weren't there, Stephen was nominated to continue as chairman, although he's got COVID tonight, which is why you've got me. And I was nominated as vice chairman. I think it's fair to ask if there are any other nominations, because the people who weren't here didn't get a chance to take part. There being no other nominations, are you happy to ratify those decisions that chairman is Stephen and I am the vice chairman? Could we have a show of hands, please, or even thumbs? Okay, thank you. Lucienne, are you happy with that?
Yes.
Okay, and the other one was to sorry?
It's only me, I don't know how to get rid of the hands.
Oh, don't worry, Jackie, I'll just ignore you.
Just press the raise button again and it will disappear.
Ah, well, thank you.
Yes. Shahid, your hand's up as well. Did you want to say something?
It's gone.
No, it's just the previous hand, so it's okay.
Okay. Right, I can't actually see any hands up now. Right, okay. And the other thing that we've got to ratify is Julie's presence. Julie, would you like to say a few words about yourself?
I think it's Claire.
Sorry, Claire.
Hi. Yeah, sure. Actually, what was mentioned last time was that people wanted to know a little bit more about humanism. Is that okay for?
Absolutely fine. Yep.
Humanists and humanist beliefs. So if I start with humanist beliefs, so there's kind of threefold parts. So it's belief in the natural world, and that we find out about that through science and evidence, and it's only belief in the natural world and not any kind of supernatural belief in gods and spirits and souls or other things. The second part is that we believe we can find happiness and meaning in the lives and in our lives, and it's important to do that and to support others in that as well, and that we have just one life, and that's our life here on Earth. And the third thing is, I suppose, about kind of an ethical stance, about having empathy for others and being responsible for actions, treating other people and animals and kind of the environment well. So that's it in a nutshell. I know at the end of the last meeting, something came up about, is there a symbol for humanism? So there is a symbol for humanism, and it's called the Happy, I think it's called the Happy Humanist. So you'd find it on their website, but it's kind of a person with their arms up in the air and kind of jumping for joy, I suppose. So it's about kind of centered about people and celebrating what it is to be human. So I'm a member of Humanists UK, which is the national organisation. I'm a member of Reading Humanists, as well. So that is for Reading and the surrounding areas. And I've recently become a trained humanist school speaker. So hoping to be invited into schools, be able to talk about my experience of being a humanist, and tying that in with, I guess, what teachers need in relation to the curriculum. So I think probably less than 10 years ago is when I realised I was a humanist, having found the humanist website, and that's when, I guess, when I became a member, that it was more a case of realising that it was an organisation that held or espoused the kind of beliefs that I held already, rather than coming to it and becoming a humanist. And I found Reading Humanists during lockdown. They were online and doing interesting talks, and that's how I got involved with that. And so I've learnt more about humanism through kind of they have free online courses through Humanists UK. So I've got some, I suppose, building my knowledge, I suppose, about humanism and about Humanists UK as well. But yeah, so, oh, and I suppose why am I interested in being involved with this? I suppose education is one of the campaigns that Humanists UK are involved with, and so I've picked up a bit about that through what Humanists UK have, and feel like I've got, I suppose, my experience as a humanist, that I'd hoped I'd be able to contribute in the way that I suppose other Group A members contribute, and also, I suppose, seeing it as a parent, so I've got children in primary school, and being, I suppose, more aware of what's being taught and having an interest through that route as well.
Okay, are there any questions that you'd like to ask Claire? No? Okay. It's a long time since we had a humanist on the Sacre. We used to have a humanist teacher who I think came from Maidenhead. Emily, you might remember.
I don't know that I was involved with the Sacre at that time, Beth. I'm not sure. Yeah.
Okay. And it actually worked very well. We worked very well as a team of people. And I'd like to now ask you if you're happy for Claire to join us as a member, a formal member of the Sacre. If anyone is not happy, please would you indicate? Well, Claire, you've been unanimously invited to join, to bring your point of view to us as well. And so it'll be good to see you at the next meeting.
Great, thanks, Beth.
Is there any other business? I haven't been notified anything. Emily, you've got something.
Yes, thank you, Beth. It was just to let members know that there was an action, or there was a discussion at the last meeting about the Sacre self-evaluation tool that Sacre have produced. And there was an agreement that we should discuss whether we want to use that in our Sacre. And probably the best way to do that would be to arrange a meeting of myself, Angela, Stephen and Beth, and to invite any Sacre members who would like to come to join that meeting. So we have now got a date for that meeting, which is on the 21st of March, 3 till 4 p.m. We were trying for an after-school slot, but I'm afraid we just couldn't find a time that worked for us. So it's 3 o'clock via Teams on the 21st of March to talk about the self-evaluation tool and how to use that. So if any Sacre members would like to join that meeting, if they could email Lucianne or myself, we'll send you the Teams invitation for that.
And if I could add to that, it would be nice to have some others there, if you can make it at that time of the day. I know it's not always easy for some, but that's great. Philip, did you want to say something? Or you've just joined us?
Yeah, no, just letting you know, my apologies. I've had to unfortunately look after my children, and my wife's not well and things. So I've only just got back in now from ferrying to various things. So apologies for any attending from now.
You're very welcome to join us. We're almost at the end of the meeting, but I'm sure we can fill you in on what's gone through. We were just talking about the self-evaluation tool that Sacre have. Would you be interested in taking part with us to evaluate?
Yes, and especially from coming from the primary heads side of things as well. If there's anything that I can take forwards to the primary heads association as well, I'm happy that's part of my role as well, is to be able to take things to the primary heads association to make them aware of what's happening at the Sacre.
We've got a meeting. We can let it set up already. Emily, could you let Philip have the dates?
Yeah, sure.
Hopefully be able to meet it. And if anybody else is interested in joining that group, please let us know. You'll be very welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, so it's the 21st of March at 3 p.m.
Right,
But that will be in the minutes, obviously, so you'll get a reminder.
Thanks, Emily. Thank you.
And it's Teams, Philip. So if you've got to look after the children, we'll have them as well.
Perfect. Well, you'll take literally that. Brilliant. Perfect. You'll take them. Thank you.
Julie. Oh, Julie, you've got something else on. Thank you. But if you change your mind or you're suddenly available, just let us know and let Emily know, and we'll send you the link.
My definitely apologies for that when it's parents' evening, and that's not going to change.
No. No, okay. There being no other business, it is now almost 8 o'clock, 10 to 8. I'll formally close the meeting. Good to see you.
Thank you.
Good night. Elizabeth.
Goodbye. Yeah, it'll be summer next time we meet.